Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Common, and I am the lucky one that gets to show everyone how to do the brief exercise in Chapter 3, Part 11. So I have taken this class a couple of times before and have had to drop it due to personal reasons. So this is my third time taking this class with Brother Christensen, and hopefully this time I get to finish it. Because I've taken this class a couple of times, there's a couple of tricks and tips that I've learned to help me to better understand the concepts taught in these beginning chapters. So hopefully I can share some of those with you. The first thing that I recommend that you do is go to the WileyPlus textbook online, and in the reading section, go to 3.2, and I just took a screenshot, and then you want to of it, and then you want to scroll down to the summary of debit/credit rules. And this little chart, you're going to want to print this out and tape it to your computer or frame it or do whatever it takes, because especially in the next couple of chapters, I refer back to this all the time until I memorize it. And you'd think by now I'd have it memorized, but I still have to use it quite a bit. But it will really, really help you, especially in this exercise. Because Wiley doesn't allow you to open multiple windows at the same time, I created a copy of the spreadsheet in Excel. So it will look a little bit different, but it will be it will be very similar. So this is the spreadsheet that I created for us so that we can work through this problem together. So the question for exercise 311 says, from the ledger balances below, prepare a trial balance for Ivanhoe Company at June 30th, 2017. All account balances are normal. So on a trial balance, to me, it's very similar to a balance sheet. And so when you go to the drop-down menu, you want to select the actual date instead of for the year or the month ending in. So the first step, sorry that I did it in Excel, so it changed it to a number, but you want to change it to the actual date, which is June 30th. So pretend that says June 30th. And so then, because it is very similar to a balance sheet, we are going to refer back to our handy dandy little equation that I showed you before. So this one right here that I said to frame whatever, we're going to input the stuff on the trial balance sheet in this exact order. And because it is like a balance sheet, you always want to make sure that it's listed in the order that it can be converted into cash, especially the assets. So we'll go back to our little spreadsheet. Okay, so the very first thing that we want to do is enter in our assets. So our first asset is going to be cash. And again, sorry, my alignment is not quite on because, again, I created this in Excel just for us to be able to refer back to. So yours will automatically align. Mine won't right now. And so for cash, we want to enter it in the debit section, because if you look back at our handy dandy equation that I told you to print out, you'll notice that the debit side is the side with the normal balance, because that is the side that increases. A little tip that I learned, again, in our little equation is if you want to figure out which side has the normal balance, it's always the side that increases. So for assets, it's debit. For liabilities, it's credit. common stock is credit, retained earnings is credit, revenues is credit, expenses is debit, and dividends is debit. So really it's like my Bible. I use it all the time. So normal balance is always the side that increases. So back to our Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so we put in cash, and then on the debit side, because our formula tells us to, and we've memorized that, we're going to put 5,900. All right, and then next, because we're still in assets, is accounts receivable. And that one is going to be exactly as it's written up top. And then our next section in our assets is property, plant, and equipment. So we are going to enter equipment. And that goes in there. Okay, so now we have all of our assets listed. So next, if you look at our accounting equation, we want to enter in our liabilities. So our first liability, and actually in this one, our only liability, is the accounts payable. So we're going to enter accounts payable. Perfect. Oh, sorry. That's my fault. So because the normal balance for liabilities is on the credit side, we need to enter that in on the credit side. Got ahead of myself there. Okay, so there are no more liabilities there. So our next one is common stock. So common stock. So if you look at our equation, common stock has a normal balance on the credit side. So we entered in the credits, and so we enter 18,000 there. And then our next one is retained earnings. And in this example, there are no retained earnings. So then we move along into revenues. And if you look on your equation, revenues has a normal credit balance. So we just type in service revenue, and we put it on the credit side. Okay. And then after our revenues, we have our expenses, and expenses are my favorite because they're the easiest to tell because they always have the word expense after it. So except for cost of goods sold. So expenses we want to list these in the order of most expensive to least expensive, just like we would on an income statement. And if we look at our equation, it shows that it has a debit balance. So the normal balance is on the debit side. So we're going to put our most expensive one first, which is salary and wages expense. We put it in the debit side, and it's 3320. And then our next one is our rent expense. And again, because it's an expense, we put it on the debit side. And then that's everything for expenses here. And then our very last one is our dividends. And if you look at our equation, you will notice that it has a debit balance. So we're again going to put it here on the debit side. So we go to dividends. And 0, perfect. So if you add all of the items here together, you will get 28,290. And if you add in all of these credit side together, if you did it right, if we did it right, you will also get 28,290. So because these balance, you always want to make sure, just like on a balance sheet, that both the debit and credit sides balance. And so if you get the same number here and here, then you can be pretty sure that you've done it right. I have submitted this, and this is the right answer. Just a little heads up. But if one of your numbers is wrong, it could be that you entered the value in on the wrong side. So you may have entered a debit on the credit side or a credit on the debit side. That's the mistake that I made the most often. So hopefully that helps everyone, and hopefully our entire class can get this all right. So if you have any questions, just post them on the discussion board, and I would be more than happy to go answer any questions that you have. And again, really, 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 I can't stress it enough. Print off this equation and memorize it as soon as you can, because it's really important for not only this chapter, but the next couple of ones. And you will refer to it over and over. All right, we'll talk to you all later. Thanks. Bye.